ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Welcome into the Monday, February 27th edition. The Drive is on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Here until 6 o'clock, we are going to take your text this hour. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll look back a little bit at Marshall's unfortunate fortune, best way to describe it. Of course, Marshall did not win the Sun Belt regular season championship. So now Marshall's getting set for the tournament. But the good news is we got the Player of the Year awards. And we'll start with the women as well because I want to mention that before we get into the men. But Rochella Scott named to the 2023 All-Sun Belt Conference second team. So congratulations to her. But I'm sure it comes to no surprise that Tavion Kinsey was named to the Sun Belt Conference's Men's Basketball Player of the Year award. Micah Han-Logden earned Sun Belt Conference Freshman of the Year, and Kinsey and Andrew also named all Sun Belt Conference first team selection. So obviously, if you're the Player of the Year, you're going to be first team. And Andrew Taylor also being named to the first team. One of the best duos in college basketball right now, and I was over at Marshall earlier for the announcement. We will talk about that here in a few minutes. I want to make time for your text at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's pretty good. Marshall was on the cusp of winning the regular season crown, did not get it done, ultimately finishing third in the league. So a close loss to Old Dominion, you turn that right around and you get into tournament play. So Marshall's going to be in tournament action on Saturday. We're going to have that game for you here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and on 93.7 The Dog. The quarterfinals will await Marshall's opponent will be 5 p.m. So 6 o'clock tip, 5 p.m. on Saturday, and hopefully the Thundering Herd will advance to Sunday, then Monday. You want to win that regular season crown, but obviously you will definitely always take the Sun Belt tournament victory. And that gets you into the NCAA tournament. I just like the regular season crown because it validates what you've done all year as the best team. And for Marshall to have won that would have been fantastic. But now Marshall moves on to the Sun Belt tournament and hopefully that championship. The one thing that really does for Marshall winning that regular season championship was, as we talked about, it gets Marshall the opportunity to have no worries as far as, okay, you don't get into the NCAA tournament. Well, is there going to be postseason play for Marshall? Yes, there will be in the form of the NIT. And you don't have to worry about anything else. Obviously, you want to win the regular season crown, then get into the NCAA tournament. That's ultimately how you want to do that. But that's what we were talking about this week. Just the fact that if Marshall would have won the regular season title, Marshall would have been able to not have to worry about Selection Sunday if the Herd didn't win the tournament, because then at least you're still going to have an opportunity to play basketball. I mean, I think the NIT is a letdown for some. I think it's a great tournament. It's gotten better. It used to be nobody cared, not interested tournament. And so it's gotten a lot better. There's a lot more interest in it because it's a valuable tournament. It had a lot of prestige in its day. It's still a very prestigious tournament. It's not the NCAA tournament, obviously, but it's still a great postseason opportunity, and that's where I think Marshall might end up anyway if the Herd doesn't win the tournament. But, of course, we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to look ahead to Marshall in action quarterfinals. That's coming up on Saturday. But I've got some sound bites with Tavion Kinsey, Micah Han-Logden, Andrew Taylor. We're going to hear all of that. And then we're going to talk to you, get your reaction. Again, the text line's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. The awards came out at 4 o'clock. I was over at the Henderson Center about an hour ago trying to wrangle everyone. And so we'll hear all of that when we continue, and then we'll hear from you as well. It's your Monday edition. It feels like a Monday, does it not? It feels like a Monday. Or at least that's just how it feels for me. So I'm hoping you're having a great Monday. Thanks for tuning in. We'll hear from the award winners or the first team selections, the player of the year, the freshman of the year, however you want to frame it. We'll hear from starting with Tavion Kinsey when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Monday, February 27th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. A lot of questions coming in. Of course, the Sun Belt tournament is starting this week. I'm looking forward to kicking back and watching some of these games. It's going to be in Pensacola, Florida. It's going to be great for the Thundering Herd to get into tournament season finally. Here's a question from text. I can answer pretty easily. Are all the tournament games being broadcast? Yes. All the games are going to be on ESPN Plus. So narrowcasting, broadcasting, radio side will carry the Marshall games on the radio side. On television, it's going to be on ESPN Plus. Now, the championship game will be on ESPN2. So if you have ESPN Plus, you're going to be great. You're going to be in good shape here. And if you don't have ESPN Plus and you want to follow the Marshall side of this, you can listen to it on the radio with us. And the championship game will be on ESPN2. I like that better than what Conference USA used to do. I had to hop from this service to, okay, now we're on whatever alternative video channel they're going to be on now, the CBS Sports. ESPN2. That's going to be the championship game. I'll take that. I know you kind of like to be on ESPN or ESPN2 for maybe the semifinals or the finals, but you got to remember, Sunbelt's now growing as a basketball league compared to football. So maybe down the line, and the Sunbelt, if it stays with this tournament schedule, maybe you see more of those games on TV, on actual just traditional ESPN, ESPN2, but Plus is the, long story short, Plus is where these games are going to be. And, of course, you can listen to the game here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I have to mention that because we're a radio company, and that's kind of how we get paid. So if you support us, we can get paid a little bit more. That would be great. Tavion Kinsey, I was over earlier today trying to catch up with him. The year-end awards came out, and Tavion Kinsey named the Sun Belt Conference Men's Basketball Player of the Year. Now, I posted the video. Dan was having some fun. He set it up so everyone could get nice little video. I'm here with my iPhone. I'm rocking my hand recorder with my microphone. I've got my iPhone. I'm like, okay, why not? I'm going to try this video thing here. The radio guy is going to try to do video. So you saw that on Twitter, and I did all right. But the important thing here is I got Tavion Kinsey, and he was named Player of the Year. And he talks about how that feels to him, what that means to him.
Definitely blessed. Just want to put God first. And then, obviously, my team, I want to thank them a lot. We talked a lot about that today. Wouldn't be in the position that I was without this team, my coaches, and especially Marshall, just the university itself, the crowd, our fans. I wouldn't be in this position without them. So I'm definitely very, very grateful today, very, very thankful for this, this opportunity.
How much do you think you've grown from last year to this year, given the experience that you went through with the team last year?
Well, I would say it's been some growth every year, but as a unit, I look at it all as a team, and we were at the bottom last year, and we were fighting, but I think this year it's a different mentality. I think we looked at it from a mental aspect, and we put it together with the physical aspect of it, and then we stayed together as a team. That's what's gotten us this far. That's what's gotten us to be this good, is being together as a team, coming in each and every day, focused as a team, playing as a team, losing, staying together during those situations, staying together through adversity, and it's gotten us this far, and we're hoping that it's, these next 3 games we can keep doing the same thing.
Okay, is this kind of an affirmation, a validation of you coming back? You could have gone to, pro ball, played for money, could have gone transfer portal, but you stayed and worked on your game. Is that, now do you think, hey, that made it was worth it, all well worth it?
Definitely. I feel like I'm very confident in every decision I make, and I give a lot of thanks to Coach Dan and all the other coaches. They help me with my decision process every year at the end of the season, and we look back at it, and I think I had some things that I wanted to get better at, me individually, and I didn't want to leave Marshall the way that we did last year. I felt like I owed this place way more than what I gave it, and I've been here for 5 years. And everybody always talks like, you could have went to another school, you could have did this, you could have did that. But also Marshall didn't have to pick me. They didn't have to, take a chance on me a long time ago when I was a freshman, when no school was trying to take a chance on me. So I owe my loyalty to them, and I think it's paid off well.
The ultimate goal is to cut those nets down in Pensacola, right? What would that mean?
It would mean everything. I've been here 5 years. Some of these guys, they're just coming in, and some of them been here. So I think it's been our team goal. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to accomplish. And I think if we have the right mindset, the right focus, it would be magical. It would be something special, and we can, put our names up there on that wall.
Tavion Kinsey, very thankful, very blessed about winning the Player of the Year award, but focused on the true prize, and that's the Sun Belt Conference Championship. Now, he's also first team. Obviously, when you're Player of the Year in the Sun Belt, you get to be on the first team as well. Also selected first team was Andrew Taylor. And Andy and Tavion have been lighting it up all year long for the Thundering Herd. And here's what Andy had to say about the honor and playing with Tavion.
Yeah, it feels amazing. I think, the individual honors are nice, but we'd obviously like to get the one this week. I don't think there would be any better feeling than, coming out there as conference championship and going to the NCAA. Just from the start of this year, it was hard, especially coming back from last year. I felt like it took, just steps each and every day, just little things one at a time, and just it all added up to now. And I'm just thankful for all the teammates that I've had to push me, all the coaches here at Marshall, everyone, that's been here now or not. I'm thankful for all the fans. We definitely would not have the home record we had this year without the fans. And they've traveled well. So, we've got a community that loves us. And like I said, I don't think there would be any better feeling than winning this week.
How special has this been doing this with Tavion, getting to this point?
Me and Tay go back to Commons of the dorms. Waking up every day, just, struggling as freshmen, and just, he taught me a lot when I first got on campus, and, we made each other better since day one, and it shows. And I think that, playing with him and bringing this team up this year has been just meant a lot to me.
Andy, when you head down Pensacola, what's your mindset? Just what you guys are going to do? Because you still got to watch and see what the teams ahead of you do, who you're going to play. Is it more about what happens with you guys than it is the opposition?
Yeah, I think, at this point, the season is about what you do. Like, it's you don't know who you're going to play game to game, and you got to take it one at a time, and you got to bring your A game. Like, I feel like last game we brought our B game, C game a little bit, especially me a little bit. But, coming to this tournament, we got to play one play at a time and give it 110%, and that's all you can ask for. And I think at the end of the day, as long as we stick together as a team, we'll be all right.
Andrew Taylor on winning the honor. Well, not winning, but being named to first team. Still, you won something. You were named to the first team, so that's pretty big honor for him. And then finally, Micah Hanlogden. What a guy. Sun Belt Conference Freshman of the Year. Started all 31 games. Averaged almost 10 rebounds a contest. 9.9. That's technically 10. 308 rebounds, 3.5 offensive rebounds per game. All top the Sun Belt Conference. Also, that puts him in the top 15 in the country in all those categories. 8 double-doubles. That's fourth most in the Sun Belt. And 72 shots rejected. That's 10th in the NCAA. So he was getting it done all year. And I can't wait to see what he looks like next year and the following year and how he progresses. But Micah Logden talking about the honor and what it means to be a player at Marshall. And, of course, with Tavion and with Andy, what those guys mean to him.
Micah, for you to come to Marshall and have the success you've had this year, what's it mean to you to see your name beside this award?
I mean, it means a lot, and I got to say thank you to my teammates. They're the ones that pushed me to be better every single day. I came here and I thought I was going to redshirt when I first got here, but then they showed up with me this summer. We all worked our butts off, and they got me to where I wanted to be.
What's been the hardest thing for you to adjust from high school to the college game?
Definitely the endurance factor. I mean, especially playing here, it's just nonstop running. So, I mean, it's like the extra work you got to put in to get in shape and stay in shape.
Michael, what's it like to get this honor with Tay and Andrew? They've been, here for a long time doing good things, and now you're right there with them.
Yeah, it means the world. They're obviously the two leaders on our team. We always look up to them. I mean, every day in practice, they're always trying to push us to get better. So, I mean, it's awesome to be alongside them and getting an award.
Now your mindset is you have the Pensacola. It's a whole new season coming. You got to win 3 to go where you guys want to go.
Yes, sir. I mean, obviously the end goal is cutting the nets in Pensacola and making it to the NCAA tournament. So, I don't know. I guess we got to keep our head down and get locked in. We've always had a mindset for every game this year to go 1-0. So I guess take it one game at a time. Try to do our best to win it.
Does having almost a week off between games, does that help you guys kind of, refresh and get your legs right and your mind right?
Yeah, especially coming off the Old Dominion game, which ultimately we lost. But having that week off just to get our minds right, get back in that positive mood, kind of get back together, it definitely helped.
All right, who wins one-on-one, you or Goran?
He's obviously he got the strength on me, but I got the quickness, so I'm gonna go with me.
He's going with him. I'd like to see that matchup myself. So there you have it. Those are the winners of the end-of-year honors. Freshman of the Year, Micah Logden. First-teamer, Tavion Kinsey. Andrew Taylor. Sunbelt Player of the Year, Tavion Kinsey. Pretty big deal, right? I think so. Now they got to take all that, pack it away, enjoy it, get ready to go get the trophy they want to hold, the plaque they want to hold. You want to be all tournament team, right? You want to make the tournament team, but you also want to make, obviously, the NCAA tournament. How do you do that? You win the tournament. So making the tournament team means you were pretty good in the tournament. Hopefully that means you've won the tournament as well. That's my goal for these guys the next few days. We've got the game for you coming up Saturday right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. You can get your text in now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You can also find me on Twitter. There are things now and then you can find on Twitter that I don't do here. So find me there at Paul Swann. And while you're there, give me a follow if you wouldn't care. That would be even better. Then you get to see what I'm up to all the time. More coming up on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Monday, February 27th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join us by text this hour, 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. I'm also on Twitter at Paul Swann. I'm trying to increase my followers there. So if you haven't yet followed me on Twitter, you owe it to yourself. Hit the follow button today. This is sort of like a mini telethon here. Go follow me on Twitter. But the text line's always open for you as well. Texter writes in and says, I smell a Marshall versus ODU rematch. Go Herd. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't you like a rematch? The team that knocked you out of winning the regular season title, you want a piece of them, don't you? You want to see them, and you want You want to go after them. See if you can get a little satisfaction by beating them. I'd be down with that. Seriously, I would be down with that. I'd like to see that happen. I mean, I really haven't broken down the bracket with you because the way the bracket looks, Marshall has got to wait. So you really don't know, first of all, who you're actually going to see on the court, because Marshall's in that bracket where Texas State and Georgia State will be in that play-in game. Then the winner of Texas State and Georgia State will get an opportunity to face off against Old Dominion. And so once you get to the double bye, Marshall will face off against the winner of Old Dominion and the Texas State-Georgia State game. And then if that happens, Marshall would then face off against the winner of the side with Georgia Southern, ULM, or Louisiana. And, of course, you don't know who you're going to get on the other side because Southern Miss is the 1 seed. Southern Miss is the 1 seed. James Madison is the 4 seed. And I would have been happy. I'd have been happy to be on that side. Because here's Marshall looking at Old Dominion again. And then here's Marshall possibly looking at Louisiana. And don't forget, there's Georgia Southern right there. And let me tell you, I'm not saying the Herd can't beat them, but I don't know if I want any piece of Georgia Southern. That's a good team. Louisiana. See, you're the 3 seed here. I don't know. Now, if Marshall would have been the 2 seed, the only difference here is you would have gotten the winner of Georgia Southern and ULM. You're the 3 seed here, so you get the winner of Old Dominion versus Texas State or Georgia State. 1 seed, you would have gotten App or South Alabama. And then you would have got most likely James Madison, but you could have gotten Troy, you could have got Coastal Carolina, you could have got Arkansas State, is the way this thing's bracketed. So off we go. First round's Tuesday, February 28th. Championship is set for Monday, March 6th. It's a long tournament, but it's going to be fun. We've got it for you here on ESPN 94.1 at AM 930. From the text line, I predict Marshall versus JMU for all the gold. What's your prediction? Yeah, that's a good question. What's your prediction? Marshall or James Madison? I think Southern Miss is the real deal. But James Madison's pretty good. Or something weird could happen here. You could have Troy's good. Troy's good. I think Georgia Southern is probably the best 7 seed coming. I don't have much hope for Texas State or Georgia State making it all the way. Coastal Carolina or Arkansas State, I don't have much hope there. But I think Troy could get out of this. Troy could be interesting on the other side of the bracket. And I'm not short-selling Georgia Southern either. Old Dominion, until Marshall beats them, you got to beat them. So until Marshall beats them, that was a close game. And that's the thing. That game was close against Old Dominion. It probably shouldn't have been close. Marshall went into halftime leading 35-28, and you think, okay, here we go. The Herd's going to win this thing. And then Old Dominion outscored them 43-32. And just look at how Marshall didn't get it done. First of all, Marshall shot 21 of 56, 6 of 19 from the three-point line. But you narrow that down a little further, and you look at those individual half stats. Marshall was 9 of 26 in that second half. 9 of 26. for 35%. Marshall is 1 of 5 from the three-point line for just 20%. But the free throws kept Marshall alive. Marshall was 75% in that first half, 93% in the second half. Marshall's 19 of 22. Tavion Kinsey by himself was 11 of 14 from the free throw line. Tavion made 11 of the 19, and he's the one that missed. He's the only one that missed because he was up there so much. I mean, you can't go 100% if you're getting that much volume. I don't think you can. Most nights, I'm not blaming him for anything. Don't infer that. But what I'm saying is he was 11 and 14. He did all the work from the free throw line. Andrew was 4 of 4. Micah was 2 of 2. That was it. Obina was 2 of 2. So those are the guys that got hit with the fouls. Marshall had 16 fouls. Old Dominion had 16 fouls. Old Dominion was 11 of 19 from the free throw line. So Marshall was in the game. It's the points in the paint that hurt the Herd. 34 of 20 in that one. Points off turnovers equal, 12 apiece. Old Dominion had better opportunities to put the basket back, 14 of 9 as far as the point total is concerned for second chance. Fast break points outran the Herd there, 18-9. And, of course, the bench points mattered more to Old Dominion, 20 compared to 3 for the Thundering Herd. So there's not one thing. I can't circle just one thing. I mean, okay, the three-point shot, they were 1 of 5, but they were 9 of 26 in the field. That's where you circle. You really circle that, but the free throws really kept the Herd in the game, especially in the second half where the team was 13 of 14 from the free throw line. That's what helped keep you in the game. Thundering Herd hopefully will bounce back, and we're talking about a Sun Belt championship here in a few days. And again, let's hope it's a long weekend for the Thundering Herd. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That would be the best. That would be the best 3-day weekend for a long time for Herd fans. And of course, this tournament's in Pensacola as well. I'm curious how many of you are heading down. Isn't this a better tournament to try to go to? Would you rather go to the Star, just make that trip to Texas, or here's Pensacola, Florida? This is a much easier trip than going down to the Star in Texas, I would think. Probably a lot more to do. Pensacola, Frisco. Pensacola, Frisco. All things being equal here, Marshall being a top seed, where would you rather spend your weekend with the Herd? Frisco, Texas, Pensacola, Florida. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We're wrapping up today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is and always shall be 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You can also find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. I've been hovering for a while at a certain follower count. Let's see if we can jack that up before tournament time. Can we do that today? I would appreciate that. Again, I'm on Twitter at Paul Swann. Of course, you can always find the show podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast is where you're going to find us. If you're a Spotify listener, you know it's funny. We're looking at metrics the other day. I know this is sort of inside baseball, but more people listen to the show on iPhones, on using Apple Podcasts than they do Spotify. So I guess I do lean Apple-centric here. So if you're looking for alternative platforms, we got you covered. We're on all the major platforms with the show. So I do appreciate everyone who listens and downloads however you consume the show. I do appreciate it. So we got the good news today. Tavion Kinsey, Player of the Year. We knew that was going to happen. Andrew Taylor's first team. We knew that was going to happen. Dan was having some fun. He was pointing out that of everybody, I don't know if he meant everybody, but he's like, this guy's got eligibility to come back. I think he was doing the sell job to make sure he had Andrew coming back. Because Andy's going to need a running mate. We got to find a running mate for Andy for the new season, somebody that he can work off of. So I'd be curious to see how the dynamic changes once Tavion is done with his career. And, of course, the Thundering Herd will get underway. It's going to be a Saturday. We don't know the opponent just yet. Odds are on Old Dominion, so we could have a rematch. The team that cost Marshall its share of the Sun Belt title in the regular season, Marshall will have an opportunity to go head-to-head with in that tournament. And more than likely, it looks like it's going to be that. Again, Texas State or Georgia State could surprise, but with the double bye, Marshall can sit back for a few days and watch this one. And obviously, you'd like to be the number one seed. Not going to happen, but you do have an opportunity still. It's a tough side, though, really. Because Louisiana's right there and Georgia Southern's right there and Old Dominion's right there. So if Marshall can get past Old Dominion and then possibly Louisiana, and I still think Georgia Southern's going to play on Saturday. Just write it down. Georgia Southern plays on Saturday. That is a matchup. I don't want Marshall and Georgia Southern. I'd like to avoid that matchup if possible. I think Marshall can take Louisiana. I think Marshall can get Old Dominion in a rematch. I don't want Georgia Southern. Marshall probably doesn't care. Players will take anybody. But could you imagine in the semifinals, Marshall, Georgia Southern? That would be nerve-wracking. Don't you think that would be a little nerve-wracking? And, of course, Southern Miss doesn't have it any easier because James Madison is a handful, and then Troy's right there, so it's not any easier. Honestly, I legitimately think that the top 6 teams, maybe 7, the top 6 or 7 teams are as good as we've seen, definitely in Conference USA, and maybe better top to bottom. Southern Miss obviously coming from Conference USA. Old Dominion obviously coming from Conference USA. But throw in James Madison. And, the new guys, the new teams, on the men's side, the new teams are really making it happen. Number 1 seed, number 3 seed, the number 4 seed. The top 3 of the top 4 and 4 of the top 6 came from either Conference USA or, in James Madison's case, came from outside of Conference USA. The newcomers are really making a statement for the basketball side of things. And we're going to ask this all week. Who do you think is going to be in the championship game? Do you think it's going to be Marshall and James Madison? You're going to think it's Marshall and Southern Miss? I mean, could it be Marshall and Troy? Could it be Marshall and South Alabama? If I'm rooting, I think I would want, if I'm ESPN, do I want to see, if I'm executive at ESPN, do I want to see Marshall in the championship on ESPN2? Do I want to see Marshall take on James Madison? Do I want to see Marshall take on Southern Miss? If I'm the executive right now, if I'm sitting back thinking, okay, how's this tournament going to go? Do I want to see Marshall, or do I want to see one of the other teams like Louisiana? What's going to get me more bang for my buck on championship night. And the Sun Belt ESPN2. Okay, you're going to tune in. Is it going to be I think Marshall Southern Miss. I think if I'm sitting back looking at this, you want Marshall Southern Miss. Sure, it's 1-3. It's not 1-2, but Marshall was right there. Marshall was, on the cusp of winning this thing. And that would have really put Marshall on top. Look at the bracket. If it's Marshall, because it could have been Marshall at 1, then Southern Miss at 2. And then that would have put Louisiana at 3. And then James Madison's doing James Madison things there. I mean, it's fun to do this bracketology type stuff now, but I think if I was looking at this, outside looking in, what's going to give me the best bang for my buck, programming-wise, I'm thinking, okay, Marshall and Southern Miss. And what would it say? It would be a statement because the outsiders coming in, making a statement in basketball. Yeah, this is a football move all the way. You're moving into the Sun Belt. This is a football move, but here it is, basketball making waves. And I'll say this because I have a huge amount of respect for Southern Miss. When Southern Miss was good, Conference USA was good. When Southern Miss was really good in football, Conference USA was really good. When Southern Miss is really good in basketball, the conference was really good. Now, imagine if Southern Miss is really good in football, gets to that point, I think the Sun Belt's going to be really good in football. If Southern Miss is really good in basketball, which we see right now, I think the league's going to be fine. With that said, Marshall's got to be right up there with them. If Marshall's really good in basketball, I think the Sun Belt's going to be really good in basketball. I can actually say that and feel comfortable saying that. If Marshall's really good in football, the Sun Belt's going to be really good in football. I can say that as well, straight face. But I truly believe that when Southern Miss was having down years, I think the league suffered in the short term and the long term. Because Southern Miss, it's such a program. And all the success it was having early years of the league, I just think that program has to be. It's got to be one of those top-tier programs in the Sun Belt. It just has to be. But Marshall's got to be one of those top-tier programs as well. Football and basketball. Absolutely has to be. And it's got to be, and James Madison's got to be up there as well because that's Marshall's new Sun Belt rival. I don't know if you knew that. We've declared that. So I like it. And Louisiana is a brand in the Sun Belt that's got to be strong as well. So that's enough for looking at this bracket today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm going to try to hook up with Tony Kemper tomorrow as the Thundering Herd getting set for women's play. We're going to have that game for you, by the way, on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll stream it as well. So if you can't listen to it on the radio, you'll be able to listen to it on your iPhone or your Android. So we've got you covered wherever you're going to be on that one. Thanks for tuning in for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.